Not everything behind your walls is dead space. Sometimes something watches from within the patterns, waiting. This is the story of Lisa and the thing that lives inside her wallpaper. You're watching Night Whispers, where the dark comes alive. Don't forget to subscribe, turn off the lights, and listen closely. Lisa had always loved old buildings, so when she found a 1920s apartment in Chicago's Logan Square, she signed the lease immediately. The place had character, arched doorways, creaky floors, and walls covered in vintage wallpaper. The bedroom wallpaper especially caught her attention. It was a faded green with swirls of yellow vines and delicate blue flowers. It felt comforting, almost familiar, like something from her grandmother's house. But at night, under dim lamplight, the patterns changed. Shadows shifted, lines bent, and sometimes Lisa swore she saw something. Small circles, like eyes, staring back at her from the paper. She laughed it off. "It's just a trick of the light," she told herself. Still, the feeling of being watched never left her. Something about that wallpaper unsettled her, but she was too tired, too happy with her new place to care. That first night, she fell asleep without locking the bedroom door. Lisa awoke around 3:12 a.m., unsure why. The room was quiet, but something felt wrong. She turned on her bedside lamp. The soft light spilled across the wallpaper, and that's when she saw it. The pattern near the center of the wall had changed. One of the flowers had twisted into an unfamiliar shape. It looked like a face, small, distorted, with hollow black eyes and a twisted mouth. Her breath caught in her throat. She blinked, and it was gone. Just the old pattern again. "I'm overtired," she whispered, pulling the covers tighter. But she didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, she examined the wall. Everything looked normal. No sign of the face, no odd shapes, no peeling paper. But when she turned to walk away, she thought she heard a whisper, just one word. "Lisa." She spun around. Nothing. For the next few nights, Lisa left the lamp on. She tried to ignore the wall, to sleep facing away from it. But every time she turned her back, she felt it. Eyes. Watching. On the fifth night, she made a mistake. She stared too long at the wallpaper. The floral vines began to blur. The soft blue petals slowly twisted into unfamiliar forms. Then she saw them again. Two eyes, black, unmoving, deep in the wallpaper. They weren't part of the design. They pulsed, almost like they were breathing. She froze. Her heart pounded so loudly it felt like the wallpaper was listening. She forced herself to blink. When she opened her eyes, the eyes were gone. But something was different. The pattern had shifted. The thing had moved, closer to her bed. It was crawling toward her, night by night, inch by inch. Determined not to feel crazy, Lisa set up her phone to record the wall overnight. She positioned it on the dresser, lens aimed directly at the wallpaper across from her bed. Before sleeping, she whispered, half joking, "Let's see what you really are." She barely slept. When dawn broke, she grabbed her phone and hit play. The video started normal. Hours of still footage. Then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., the wall shimmered. The wallpaper began to bulge outward, like something behind it was pushing. Then two pale, thin fingers slid through a tear in the paper. They scratched at the wall from the inside. Seconds later, a face pressed against the surface. Horribly distorted, eyeless, its skin paper thin. It stared directly into the lens and smiled. Lisa dropped the phone. Her hands were shaking. The wallpaper was intact now, but she knew what she saw. It was real. Lisa showed the video to her coworker, Ben, the next day. He laughed nervously. "Cool effect. What app did you use?" She didn't answer. She showed her landlord. He barely looked. "Ma'am, we don't do wallpaper repairs for pranks." She even tried calling a priest. He never showed. Everyone thought it was in her head, but Lisa knew better. She avoided the bedroom at night, started sleeping on the couch. But that didn't help, because the whispers followed her now. Late at night, soft and wet sounding, like someone breathing through damp cloth. It always came from the walls, and every morning, the wallpaper was different. The pattern had changed again. The eyes were now just beside her closet. The mouth was open wider, and behind it, something dark. A hole? Number A tunnel? Lisa woke with a scream. Her body was drenched in sweat, her neck ice cold. She had dreamt of the wallpaper again, but this time, it wasn't just watching, it had reached out. In the dream, pale arms pushed through the vines, hands stretching across the bed toward her chest. The fingers brushed her skin. She jolted awake, but the feeling remained. She ran to the mirror. 4 thin, dark bruises formed a shape on her collarbone, like a hand. She stared, numb. "I'm not dreaming," she whispered. The bruises were real. The thing in the wallpaper had touched her. That night, she tried tearing it down. She clawed at the walls, pulling strip after strip. But underneath the paper was the exact same pattern. Layer after layer, endless. Lisa didn't sleep that night. She sat in the kitchen, lights on, knife on the table. Every few minutes, she glanced down the hallway. The bedroom door was open just a crack, and from the dark beyond, she heard it again. Scratch, pause, scratch. But this time it wasn't just the walls. Something was crawling across the floor. She held her breath, heart pounding, a soft shuffling sound like wet cloth dragging on hardwood. Then, a whisper, almost out. Lisa stood slowly, knife in hand. She took one step toward the hall, and the bedroom door slammed shut. She screamed, but when she ran to open it, the room was empty. The wallpaper looked still again, except now there was a large wet stain spreading outward from the center. The pattern inside it? A handprint. Lisa couldn't take it anymore. She called in sick, shut her phone off, and returned to the bedroom with a hammer and box cutter. "I'm getting you out of my walls," she muttered. She started cutting, strip by strip, layer by layer. The more she tore away, the more the wallpaper bled, thick, black fluid seeping from underneath like infected skin. But she kept going, until she hit something strange. Not drywall, not wood, but fabric, like flesh. It pulsed slightly when she touched it, and then it blinked. A massive, lidless eye embedded deep within the wall, staring at her with inhuman patience. She stumbled back, screaming. The wall blinked again, then something behind it moved. The entire room suddenly smelled like rot and mold, and the whisper came louder now, everywhere at once. "You let me in." Lisa locked herself in the bathroom. She ran the water to drown out the whispers, but they bled through the pipes. She covered the mirror, but still saw that eye when she closed her eyes. Then the voice spoke again, clearer, deeper. "You pulled back the skin. Now I see you too." The water in the sink began to ripple. Lisa stepped back as something thick and black seeped up from the drain. It smelled like mildew, blood, and old breath. She grabbed her phone to call for help, but the screen only showed a reflection of her bedroom wall, live. The wallpaper was torn wide now, a long vertical slit in the center, and something thin, gray and long was slowly slipping out. A hand. Not quite human. Lisa couldn't breathe. Her lungs felt tight, like something was wrapping around her from the inside. She dropped her phone. From the hallway, she heard the sound of fingernails dragging along the wall. Slow, deliberate, closer. Then, footsteps, but not full steps, slithering, limping, wet. She backed into the corner of the bathroom, clutching a towel rack like it could save her. The light flickered once, twice, and then the voice whispered, just inches from the door, "You saw me. Now you're mine." The bathroom door creaked open, on its own. Lisa stared into the dark hallway. The wallpaper outside was shifting, reshaping like ripples in water. Then she saw it. A tall gray figure, paper thin, long arms dragging across the floor. Its face was stitched shut, but its eyes, they were the same ones from the wall, watching her. Always. Lisa tried to slam the bathroom door, but the thing moved faster. It didn't run. It slid, like smoke wrapped in skin. Its long fingers curled around the doorframe, gray, veiny, and far too many knuckles. Lisa screamed and hurled a shampoo bottle. It passed straight through the thing, like it wasn't really there. But the smell stayed. Wet plaster, mildew, and something old like dead leaves soaked in formaldehyde. The creature didn't attack. It just stood there, staring. Its stitched mouth twitched. One eye blinked, the other didn't. Then slowly it raised one finger and pointed to Lisa's chest. Her skin burned instantly beneath her shirt. She looked down. A shape was forming beneath her skin. A symbol. A spiral made of tiny repeating eyes. She was marked. It had chosen her. Lisa collapsed on the bathroom floor, clutching her chest. The mark pulsed beneath her skin like it was alive. Hot, itchy, crawling. She tore off her shirt and stared at it in the mirror. The spiral of eyes wasn't just glowing now, it was moving. Tiny irises spun slowly in a perfect loop, blinking in and out of sync. She screamed and slapped at it. Her skin bubbled under her touch. Then came the whisper, not from the walls, from inside her head. You peeled the wall, now you're hollow too. Her vision doubled. The world warped, like old film melting in heat. The bathroom mirror rippled, and inside it, she didn't see her own reflection. She saw the thing, standing behind her, closer now. Its stitched mouth opened slightly, threads tearing, just enough to whisper, "Let me wear you." Lisa backed away from the mirror, shaking. The voice in her head grew louder. It spoke in overlapping tones, male, female, child. Whispers layered like old wallpaper. She stumbled into the hallway. The apartment was no longer her own. The walls pulsed like veins. The wallpaper on every surface now displayed moving images, versions of Lisa. Lisa asleep, Lisa crying, Lisa screaming. And in each version, the thing stood behind her watching. She clutched her head. "Stop it! Get out!" The spiral on her chest pulsed. Suddenly, her arm reached out on its own. She had lost control. Her hand scraped the wallpaper gently, caressing it. And the thing whispered, "The wall remembers. So will you." Then, one by one, her fingers began to sink into the wallpaper like it was water. And her skin began to stretch. As her fingers dissolved into the wall, Lisa screamed, but no sound came out, only dust. She pulled back and saw that her skin had left a faint imprint on the wallpaper, a handprint, just like the one she saw nights ago. It had been hers all along. She stumbled backward, and the walls responded, peeling themselves. The top layer curled away like dead bark. Underneath wasn't more wallpaper. It was a face. Mummified, flattened, mouth wide open in an eternal scream, eyes hollow. Then the whole wall moved. More faces emerged. Dozens, hundreds, all flattened into the architecture. Previous tenants consumed, merged. Every pattern in the wallpaper was a soul, twisted into a design. Lisa fell to her knees. She whispered, "Why me?" The apartment answered, not with a voice, but by beginning to peel her too. The faces in the wall began to scream, not with sound, but with vibrations. The wallpaper shook like skin in pain. Lisa covered her ears. The hallway twisted, growing longer, darker. The bedroom door stood open now. Inside, the spiral glowed on the wall, wide like a portal. Lisa crawled toward it, eyes wide, mouth trembling. The voices whispered, "Step through. Become part. Be remembered." She looked back at her apartment one last time. The kitchen was gone. The bathroom melted like paint in the rain. There was no way back, only forward. She stood, barefoot, bleeding, burning from the spiral, and walked into the glowing slit. The wallpaper closed behind her. The room fell silent, and a moment later, the pattern on the wall shifted slightly. A new vine curled into place, a soft shadow, 2 new eyes. 3 weeks later, the apartment was listed for rent again. Fresh coat of paint, new locks, no mention of Lisa, no mention of missing persons, just a great vintage unit full of charm. A young couple toured the place. They loved the high ceilings, the archways, the soft creaks in the floor. "Feels like it has a soul," the woman said. The landlord smiled. He always did. They signed the lease, moved in that weekend. While unpacking, the man pointed to the bedroom wall. "Did you see this? The wallpaper has a weird pattern." He traced a vine with his finger. Stopped. "Whoa, doesn't that look like an eye?" His wife laughed. "You're seeing things." That night, long after they'd fallen asleep, the wall shifted. One spiral began to glow faintly. From somewhere inside it, a whisper. "She's watching now." That night, the woman in the couple, Marissa, woke to the sound of humming, software like a lullaby from a music box. She sat up in bed, confused. The room was dark, but her eyes adjusted. Across from her bed, the wallpaper shimmered faintly. She stood and stepped closer. The pattern shifted as she moved. Then she saw it. A woman's face, embedded in the design. Eyes closed, mouth barely open, as if dreaming. Marissa reached out, fingertips brushing the pattern, and the eyes snapped open, bright white, glowing. A voice echoed in her head. "Don't look too long." Marissa staggered backward, heart racing. When she looked again, the pattern was still. Just flowers, just vines, just vintage charm. She laughed nervously, climbed back into bed, didn't see the small spiral forming behind her, didn't hear the whisper. Lisa. Marissa began hearing things over the next few nights. Not voices exactly, just sounds. A soft breath, a gentle scratch. Once, while brushing her teeth, she swore she heard her name whispered from the mirror. Another night, she dreamt of someone crying behind the wall. When she pressed her ear to it, the crying stopped, and something whispered, "Please, don't leave me here." She told her boyfriend. He laughed. "Old places creak. That's the charm." But Marissa stopped laughing, because that night she heard the voice again. It was clearer now, familiar. A woman. Lisa. "He doesn't believe you, does he? Neither did mine." Marissa sat upright in bed, shaking. The wall in front of her pulsed like a heartbeat. The face had returned, only now it was smiling, and it looked exactly like her. Marissa stopped sleeping. Every night, the voice grew stronger, sometimes gentle, sometimes cruel. "Let him go. He doesn't hear it like you do. You were chosen. Like me." The spiral on the wall glowed faintly now, visible even in daylight. She tried covering it with paint. It bled through. She tried recording the wall. Nothing showed up, but the voice never stopped. One night, she found herself standing at the wall, one hand pressed against the pattern. Her fingertips sank slightly into the surface. She felt warmth, a heartbeat. The wallpaper breathed beneath her palm, and her own reflection in the window shifted. Lisa stood in her place, half real, half paper. Behind her, hundreds of faces pressed from the walls, all smiling. The voice whispered, "You're not moving in. You're being absorbed." The next morning, Marissa was gone. Her boyfriend searched the entire apartment. Bathroom? Empty closets, dusty, front door? Locked from the inside. Only one thing had changed. The wallpaper? A new vignette had appeared in the floral pattern, a faint outline of a woman's face, mid-scream, lips parted, eyes wide. Her boyfriend stared at it for a long time. Something about it felt familiar. Then he blinked. The face was gone. Just vines, just vintage charm. A month later, the apartment was listed again. Rent dropped slightly. The listing called it cozy, unique, a place with personality. And in the fine print, one line stood out. Do not attempt to alter the wallpaper, because the wallpaper doesn't forget. It collects, it absorbs, and if you stare long enough, you'll find your place in the pattern too. Forever.